Liverpool join the Sancho chase. Bayern discuss Guardiola. Zlatan confirms his MLS exit. We got a transfer roundup and today's power rankings all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Fodick. You are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First off, and to Jadon Sancho, who's interested in a number of clubs, and now it looks like Liverpool have joined the queue. Along with Manchester United, former club Manchester City, PSG, Real Madrid and Barcelona, they all want a piece of the English star. In the last few weeks, things haven't exactly been going to plan at Dortmund. He was late returning from international duty, got fined around £86,000. Then his form dropped off a little bit, and at the weekend, boss Lucien Favre took him off after just 36 minutes. Now, apparently this was to do with the injury that was further provoked in last week's Champions League match against Inter Milan. But according to the boss, he actually was just really disappointed with what he saw in the 4-0 drubbing to Bayern Munich. So much so that with Dortmund not really in the title race as of yet, well, Jadon Sancho may be planning a future exit. Next summer, it looks like he may be on the way out in a deal worth over 100 million, and Dortmund have already looked to some potential replacements. On top of this, in a recent interview, the sporting director of Dortmund called Sancho out for some poor performance and poor discipline, which is completely the opposite to what Favre said a few days before that when he said the matter would stay internal. Things aren't completely right between Sancho, the manager, and the board, and it looks as though he may end up leaving. But talking of Dortmund getting smashed by Bayern Munich, that was with Bayern Munich's interim manager Hansi Flick, who now has 2 wins from 2, but that has not stopped the rumour mill spinning about who will be the long-term successor to Niko Kovac. One of those names is former Bayern Munich coach Pep Guardiola. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, he's like way into the Manchester City job at the moment, and you can't really see him leaving to go back to Bayern Munich. But they still have pretty good contact with the club. Guardiola is still a big fan of the club, and maybe, just maybe, things are over for him at Manchester City. I'm not saying over like he's going to be sacked tomorrow, but we all know how things go with Guardiola. He comes into a club, he spends like 3 or 4 years there, brings in a new cycle, wins loads of trophies, and then as things drop off, he leaves and finds a new challenge. It looks like at the moment, as he enters another season with Manchester City, that things are really falling off, and Sunday's defeat to Liverpool only further proved that. There's a few players in the squad who need to be get rid of, and I'm not quite sure it's in Pep's repertoire to get rid of loads of dead wood and do a completely new rebuild by himself. Regardless of this though, in my personal opinion, I can't see him going back to Bayern. Yes, he does have cycles. Yes, he may be coming to the end of his one at Manchester City, but he goes to look for a new challenge. In my opinion, he'll probably end up in Serie A for his next job. Maybe not just quite yet though, because none of the top teams really have any problems with their managers, but it is Serie A, so by next week there could be a load of firings. But next up, and to the MLS, where Zlatan has officially confirmed he will be leaving LA Galaxy. After going over to the United States and completely destroying the league, but not winning the title this season with the LA Galaxy, it looks as though the 38-year-old may return to Europe. Now, we've spoken about it in the last few weeks where he's going to end up going, and it looks like the most likely will be a return to former club AC Milan. He left AC at the start of the decade to go and join PSG, and since then he's obviously been at Manchester United as well as the Galaxy, but maybe, just maybe, he's still got something to offer even at 38 years old. The thing about Zlatan, as we all know, his game isn't based on pace or really working that hard, to be honest, so it's not really going to be that his 38 years of age are going to slow him down from what he once was. He still has all the technique and ability, he's still strong as ever, and he can still pull off the outrageous kind of skills and goals which would definitely help AC Milan get back into the Champions League. But moving on from that into a roundup of the rest of the day's daily news, where the new FIFA Chief of Global Football Development is Arsene Wenger. He's not taking a job in management, he's taking a job with FIFA instead. But former club Arsenal are set to rival Tottenham for the signing of Napoli forward Dries Mertens. When David Silva's contract expires at the end of the season, he could be joining Andres Iniesta in Japan at Vissel Kobe. And Inter Milan could be getting yet another Manchester United outcast, as Nemanja Matic has his eyes set on a move to Serie A. So once again, welcome to the Onefootball Power Rankings. This is where we compile a list of the top 10 players around Europe based off their last 5 games for their club and in European competitions. So forget about the cups and the international games. This is purely the European competition and the domestic games, the ones that really matter. No offense to those other competitions. Anyway, let's jump straight into it by looking at who's in number 10 to 6 this week. Marcel Sabitzer is in at number 10 from Leipzig. Rashford in at number 9. The Leicester teammate pairing of Ndidi and Vardy sit in at 8th and 7th. And number 6 is Christian Pulisic. So before we look at the top 5 quickly, a big shout out to our number 11 this week, Timo Werner. The only reason I'm doing it is because I know loads of you are going to ask where he is, because he has been in unbelievable form, but he just so narrowly misses out after a poor performance in the Champions League last week. But anyway, Let's get into number 5. It's James Maddison. Now, with him, he scored a couple of goals in the last 5, and you're probably thinking on the face of it, that's maybe not enough to get him into 5th position. Well, he has just been incredible for Leicester with everything he does during the rest of the game. His passing is crisp and incisive. He's always playing the forward ball. He's had a ridiculous amount of chances created, and he's just on absolute fire at the moment, as are the rest of the Leicester squad. He's the 3rd Leicester player in this lineup, and his form is epitomised by the game against Crystal Palace, where he created 8 chances for his team, the most by any away player in the Premier League this season. Of course, the goals against Arsenal and Southampton help him as well into number 5. But talking of goals, a man who's got 5 and 5, got 2 at the weekend against Dortmund, should have had a hat-trick, it's Robert Lewandowski. He moves up 4 places into number 4 because he can't stop finding the back of the net. Number 3 though, and just outside an incredible top 2, is Hakim Ziyech. Ajax have scored 4 goals in their last 4 games, every single time. Hakim Ziyech has been a massive part of that with 1 goal and 5 assists. But what he's done is not as good as the top 2, so he sits in number 3. So you know how this goes now for the top 2. I'm going to present a case for both, and we'll see who comes out as this week's champion. First off is last week's number 1, Karim Benzema. After some fine form recently, he followed it up with another 2 goals and a fantastic performance in Real Madrid's 4-0 victory against Eibar. The Frenchman now has 5 goals and 3 assists in the last 4 games. And on top of this, his rival is Lionel Messi. Of course, last week's number 5 shoots up and could potentially be in the number 1 spot after a brilliant, scintillating hat-trick at the weekend. This means he now has 7 goals in his last 5 games and is looking to get back to some top form for Barcelona because, well, they really need it. So with that said and done, the winner from this week is Karim Benzema. His goals have managed to hold off the fight back from Lionel Messi, but you can be sure the Argentinian will be pushing him all the way next time. That's all from me for today, though. Make sure you smash the like button and let me know your thoughts on the power rankings and the rest of today's daily news down below. Whilst you're at it, you can click here or here to check out loads of the other stuff we've got going on Onefootball. And until next time, I will see you guys later.